Okay, the 10-year government yields here. So in a nutshell, we're looking at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to the upside. On the flip side of this, the whole move up could be an A wave, a B wave and a C wave up here for that. I don't think that's the case because we haven't really seen any changes that the Feds are doing at this particular point in time. Also, too, as I've mentioned before, it's such a beautiful third wave up here, you know, as 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third, fourth and fifth. So it just looks and feels like a third wave to the upside. So we're in a fourth wave at the moment. And the rectangle box here, this is a weekly chart. The rectangle box looks at the previous wave 4 here. And the top of the rectangle box is the 38.2. So normally it comes within that particular space. And when you're working around a large number, in this case number 3 here, the 3%, then that kind of pulls all the, the psychology pulls all the orders to it. Now the situation at the moment with this is that yes, it hasn't pulled back to its where it naturally would pull back to it. It's not that the previous wave 4 here was that deep either, actually. So yeah, so it doesn't really need to do that. It's kind of squaring off quite nicely with inside this sort of trend channel here. It has made a new low here, which was one of the things that we were looking for this to take place. Now the 30-year yields, this is 10, so the 30s haven't made a new low here. So realistically, there is possibility for this to be that is 5 waves, we'll check it out, but 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So it's possible to have a larger 5 waves down to do that. So we just got to pay attention to the rally here and figure out if the move up here in this current move up is corrective or impulsive at this point in time. So we can come back to this, but when we look at the 30-year yields here, this is also the wave 4 here at 4%. But this move down here hasn't really come down and taken out this low here. So there really is space for this to be 1 and 2 here. It may not be the case. It's just something that we need to kind of consider a little bit more, So we will know soon enough once this rally starts here. So just going back to the 10-year yields here, and I'll just remove that there. So we're still trying to figure out that move to the upside here. Yeah, obviously we've talked about this before because I've got this here. This would be wave 1 here with an A and a B and a C wave for wave 2. And I think that's the case. So it's a little bit early to tell. I would, because of the 30 years not making a new low here, I would put the weight to having a third, fourth down here. And once that's completed in 5 waves there, then we can look for a move up to 5%. And I mean, really, that's kind of, what the general consensus is anyway, in these sorts of things. And just want to go to the intraday and check on that. So I'll just go to 15 minutes, and I won't take up too much of your time, but I do want to check on it myself, just to double check, because too often I open my mouth without checking, and then I sort of regret that. So that is the top there. So this would be a nice wave 1 and 2 into this point here. I could look at this as 1 and 2, or I could just take it from the top. That is the high there, so I could just look at that as all of the... Look, if you know Elliott a little bit, then there's a very strong move down here, so it's got to be the third wave. That's 5 waves there, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's in 3 waves. So this will be, yeah, I think that'll just come back up to here and then roll over at this point. Let me have a look at this on the 2-year yields here. Yeah, that's done the same thing, but I just wanted to have a look at the structure just to see if I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's 5 here. So yeah, I think I'm on the right track here. So anyway, I won't bore you to death. Basically, we'd be pretty confident, but not putting money on it at this stage. Going back to in fact, I'll just go back to, I don't want to go there, I want to go here to the 10 years and just have a look at the the hourly move down here just to see. Just sorry for working on the hop, but sometimes I just have to. It's just time constraint. Yeah, because this low took out this one here, and that's 5 waves here. I suppose it could be part of that too. All of that. I mean, that could be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. That's what it is actually. So we'll just label this 5 waves here. We'll just label that here for the moment. So we could still have. I mean, we could look at it a different way as well. But so this rally coming in here for this will be. We'll see that normally it'll come to the wave 4 one lesser degree, but you can always just put the 50 thing in. So anyway, we'll give it a good few days, a week, and it'll start to reveal itself in that form. So not a biggie. Okay, so that's that, and we want to come over to. Where's my list here? I think the US dollar's next. Yeah, the US dollar's next. So let me just lower my list here, or put it out the way. That's not quite what I wanted. It's there, but I'm still stuck with that. Okay, here we go. Let's just put it there. The US dollar. Okay, it's we're walking on eggshells here with this. So the gist of it is that we've got wave 1 here with an A and a B and a C wave. Now, we've counted down here as an A and a B and a C for the B wave. If that low gets taken out, then the US dollar is going to come down further. And if the US dollar comes down further, that's going to help precious metals to the upside. It's going to help the euro dollar, the Aussie dollar, the sterling, and even stock market would be under less pressure as well in that case. So this particular low here is so critical actually, and we have counted it down as an A and a B and a C wave here. Now if it did make a new low here, let's just assume that it does break that low here. If that was the case, well then we could expect it down to 98 or 95 here. Now we could bring wave 2 down to this point here, but I don't think that's the case. I think what I would rather do is I would rather bring wave 4 over here, and then have wave 5 coming down over to here, and then having wave 1 coming down here, and then having an ABC pattern coming into play over here off this low here, and then we come down again at that point. And the reason I say that is because that's the pattern. I'm getting the inverse pattern on the sterling for that, the cable for that. It's just the doggy scratching in the background. I like to scratch and do a few circles and then finally plonk. So just shooting the breeze here a little bit. So that low has definitely got to stay in here at this point. Okay. Now, just to go in there and look at that on the intraday, we'll do that. So this is a little bit join the dots kind of situation here, but the idea here is that we have the A wave up here, and then we have the A, the B, and the C wave onto that low here. We've pulled all that apart. We know that it's 5 waves to that point. If this is breached here, then it comes down to a new low here. We're looking at this as wave 1 to the upside. This has come back to 102, which is the 62% area, 62 to 65, the little pocket in there. So it needs to move up right off that low there. And we've been talking about this earlier today in other videos. And I can see that it's popped up here a little bit, so it has given a little bit of hope. But I would also expect a bounce off a large number like 102 in this particular instance. So it doesn't mean diddly squat. But what we did do today is that we looked into here. We'll go from 20,000 ticks down to 20 ticks here, so it's a big jump down, and we'll bring in some more data. We'll just square it up with 20. So this is off the low here, and essentially what we've done here is we've looked at this as wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then we've looked at this as the A wave here, the B wave here, and we've counted 5 waves down to that low here. Now, I have seen this move up in the Asian section, in the Asian time, but that low there is critical. So we talked about this low being critical. Now we can move to this one. So we don't really want that breach. We want this to push up from here. Okay, that's what we're looking for, and that's a bit of a game changer. So everything that's been going up is because this has been coming down, you know, with me on that one. So everything's doing the sort of, not everything, but most things are doing the inverse of all of that. But just pointing that out, that, you know, even if you don't trade currencies or the dollar, if you trade gold, you need to know, or silver, you need to know this, you know. Yeah, so let's just take that back. Yeah, so I'll just leave it being that still. I just want to leave it being very simple at this point. So we talked about that low. If that low is breached, then everything else will do a different pattern at that particular point. So if this is breached here, we'll see the euro go up and we'll see the pound go up further. If this pivots and turns here, we'll see the euro dollar go down, and so on. We're not covering that in this video. I don't think. You can have a look at that in the euro video. But yeah, it's a very pivotal. But we will be looking at gold and silver, so they will play out in their own little way as well. So we're going to look at them next, I think. So this is US spot gold here. It's a weekly chart, so you know it's going back a little while. So I thought today in the videos we'll look at it in the bigger picture. So we've got wave 3 here with an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave for wave 4. We're looking up as wave 1 and back for wave 2 here. And we're also looking for wave 1 up here. And then we'll look for wave 2 to come back here. So, yeah, so we just need to understand this. My normal thing is that we want to find, you know, on a level like this is a major level 2 in terms of the trading levels. And we need that as tested support. So we need to see a pattern like this here. So this is where we are at the moment. We need to see it do its little dance here, which basically doing, it could be actually, I think it's just here actually. So it needs to push up, create that first high above the level. The breakout's important, and but I don't chase the breakout because I always look for the retest, because there's a lot more to it than the breakout. You'll learn that over time, but yeah, so it'll either be this pattern, or we could get very simple and it'll be this variation here. But because it first stopped here, it will either do this pattern or it will do this pattern. It will do one of those patterns. If it hadn't stopped here, then we could be looking at a different pattern. We could be looking, if it doesn't stop here, then it normally goes up a bit higher and then drops, and the distance it goes above is the distance it goes down. So there's only really 3 patterns that are going to occur at the levels and at a price point, and the rest of the patterns that you don't understand will be a messy version of one of these. And yes, of course, it can hit the level here and drop and never come back, or it could just blast through and never come back. And that's normally, you're normally aware of that because you'll be in a parabolic move at that point. But because we've reacted here, and now there's history over here, and we don't chase that first move to the upside because it's a sucker's play, and we're just waiting for that pattern to emerge over here with this. So from the weekly chart, we'll just go to the daily chart just to pick things up here. So we've got our wave C or 4 here. We've got this wave 1 and 2. And now we're looking for this one and 2 here. So I've been looking at it as 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 here. I could probably get wave 5 out of this. I could probably do this here and put wave 5 here. There's a few different ways I've been thinking about this. And this could be the pullback here, but it doesn't really matter at any point along the line. The situation is that we need that 20 to be, that 2 here, sorry, to be the support at that point, and we don't have it yet, you know. So I'll just leave that up there, and I'll put that there, and I'll put that back up there, and so. But what I'm sort of thinking, because you know, when you take a look at this here, this is what I was saying pretty much in the Australian video in the morning, because we cover gold in the Aussie video. This is a long haul here, right? So you don't want to be trading leverage. You can do futures contracts, or you can do gold stocks, but you don't want to get caught up in margin paying overnight financing in such a nice big move like this. So you'll need to find a market that you don't have to pay for, you know, privileges of loans on these sorts of things. So just thought I'd throw that in. So yeah, anyway, we'll go back to the daily chart here, and then we're going to go to the intraday. So we'll go on to 20,000 ticks here. So look, this may be right or wrong here. I mean, I could end up putting wave 4 over here. We could end up with a few different things here. I was looking at wave 4 as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. I think that's the case. I don't have 5 waves here to say that if I had 5 waves here, then I could say to you that's the correct count. But I've only got 3 little waves up here. So I have to say, it could be something else, you know, I don't know. The wave 4 might get a bit more complicated, and we might end up sort of seeing something, you know, triangle. I mean, it's probably not a triangle. I mean, I could probably get 3 waves out of both of these structures here. It's possible, but I don't know. And in fact, I don't really care, because I'm not over here where I need to be. We need to go long over here for this. And we're not there yet, you know. And even if you bought here, this wave 2 would come back and say hello to you at some point, you know. So we've got to get the timing right. We've got to manage the risk. We've got to do all those sort of things. Is this number support yet? No. So anything under this number would be at risk. Not a high risk, because we've got impulse waves telling us that we're going higher. But you still need to manage your exposure in all of this. And yeah, so I'm unsure. If I had little 5 waves here, I would be you know, I'd be displaying more confidence in this, but I don't have it yet. I may get it, and this is where the US dollar comes in. You know, if the US dollar is going to turn lower, well, this might drop back at this point. You know, we may have this as the A wave here, and the B wave over here, and the C wave coming down here in 5 waves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming back into this consolidation, or the 50-60% from this move up here. Do you know, there's a few wild cards in here that need to be played out just yet, but it doesn't really matter. We don't need to do anything at this particular point in time. Over to the silver market, we'll look at this as being the same thing as well. We'll look at wave 2 here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1, back for 2 here, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll push up here for wave 5. How far will we go up here? Probably not a lot. Normally about the same length as wave 1 here, maybe even shorter. We're sitting on, probably doesn't mean much to you, but from 2,000 up to 3,000, there will be the Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then 8 here. And then when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2. So these are the number. You know, this is the ratio that we're working with through here. You know, so markets are pretty much. You know, I mean, these are from life. They're from, you know, the emotional man, and it is life, and you know, trees and plants and all that grow in these ratios, and that's why the Fibbo works and all the rest of it. And yeah, this is just a reflection of the people playing in this particular pond, and this is their emotional growth in all of this, if you will, I guess, something like that. I'm a bit off course on that note, but I'm sure you can straighten it out. So the exciting thing here is that if we get this blue wave 1 and blue wave 2 here, that's okay, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll have 3 and then 4 and 5. If we get these 5 waves from here to here, that's going to be very exciting, because this wave 2 here is where we really want to pick up the longer term trades here. You may have that small position here, but yeah, this is looking good. It's looking good, looking very good. Yeah, all good. Okay, so that's that. And we're over to crude oil, and I don't want to do that just yet. I want to do, I've got to do copper, lithium and nickel. So we're just going to go to the other. Now we covered this in the Australian video this morning, so I don't need to go into a big spin with all of this, but we do need to look at it in case folks don't look at the copper, lithium and nickel, and a few stocks that we look at for in the Australian video every day. But what we want to do first is come over here, and we want to go to copper. And we're pretty excited about copper, actually. This is the US copper futures here. So what we were doing here, and this is where the US dollar will need to play out a little bit too, because we'd been looking at this move up here originally as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here to get wave 1, and then that if we've got 5 waves up here, that first impulse there would tell us we're going to get another one over here. So that's very exciting, you know. But this started to drop down low here, and the US dollar looks strong and all the rest of it. So in some of these stocks over here, they started to come down a bit too far, but didn't really break any, you know, didn't break the China on the way out. So everything's still intact, and this little move here is looking like an impulse wave, but still got to be careful. But the bias is that we're going to get that 5th wave yet. But it doesn't mean we need to trade or do anything at this point, because it'll be this wave 2 here that will be the real game changer here, because this wave 5 here will be roughly the same length as wave 1 here. Yeah, you can trade copper stocks up on that. And this little move here, we were looking at that on the, I don't know if it's 15-minute chart or something or other, but just wanted to share the good news is that a little bit rough and ready. So this is the low of wave 4. We've got 1 ABC for 2 here, and all the way up for the 3rd, the 4th and the 5th here. This does appear to be corrective here. Even if this wave 4 gets more complicated over here or something, this move here is still corrective, right? So we're in a good position, so we should get this wave 5 here, and that will be wave 1 up here, and then we'll be back for wave 2. So that 1 and 2, when we have a look at that back on the daily chart here for a moment, that would just be, that's getting in here, that would be that little wave 1 coming in here, that 1 and 2 coming into here, and that will be 3, 4, 5 up here, then it'll come back, and this is the one that we want. So yeah, that's looking fantastic at that point in time. And if we look at so we're seeing gold be positive, we're seeing copper being positive. Well, we're not totally done here yet, but the weight is heading in that direction. And besides, this little pattern in here also appears to be corrective as well. Now, I know it could do something weird. It could be an ABC for the A wave here, an A and a B, and then a C wave here, and then do something else. I understand some of the implications that are here, but just as the fact that we're seeing an impulse wave here gives me a little grin. So that's something, so that's positive. And over to nickel, so not a lot happening at nickel. I mean, I know we're getting this is the trouble with nickel is that I think, you know, because of the LME spike here and all the dodgy business that those guys did, it's sort of like letting the dust settle and picking it up again. But this move up here does not appear to be 5 waves here. It looks corrective to me, you know. So, you know, maybe it's impulsive. Maybe I'm just not looking at it right. Maybe I just can't sort of see it. I understand too that we could look at the whole thing to get a bullish market out of this. We could go an A wave here, a B wave here, pulling back to the 50-60%. And there's a lot of support along here, you know, and we'd expect to bounce off that and then have a wave C up here. Do you know what I mean? It could be something like that, you know, and you know, I'm not going to miss that. I'm going to be all over it, and that means that, you know, we're currently looking for a little wave 4 here that can pull back 40% of this one and 2 here, 3, 4. So we're just going to keep an eye on that. If that starts to look impulsive up here, well, then we're going to run with that move to the upside. But I don't have any idea whatsoever. I don't know what's going to come out of the gates here, but if it's going to come out and it's, you know, going to give the right sort of pathway, then we'll jump on the bus and see where it takes us. So I won't look at any of these, but we see that lithium has become very positive here, and what we're just going to do straight up here, we've had on this one here. This is an Australian stock, Liontown here, and they had long day, an offer from this particular company here, here at $2.50 a share. So this is just gapped up to the 250 here. But as I was saying this morning, I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. We won't make a final decision just yet, but we could view this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1, and ABC back for 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and a big third wave here. If that is the case, then this would open this up here as 1 and 2 and 3 up here and 4 here and 5 for a big third wave up here and 4. So this could be on the cards here. You know, they might reject the, I don't know what the offer was. I mean, I was told, but I forgot what it was. But I mean, I know it was 250. I don't know if it was accepted. Maybe they'll do a bigger offer, who knows, whatever, and bump it up to 3. But it does look bullish because it took the tops out here. It leaves it in a bullish space. Now, it could get a B wave out of it as an expanded flat or something. I understand that. But the only way to view it is to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. That means that we would be getting a classic trading levels pattern across the 3 up here. All the orange lines are major levels. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. And then we go back to the beginning again, which will be 10, which is 1, 20, 30, which is 1, 2, 3 again, you know. So anyway, that's really exciting. It has pushed some of these other Aussie ones in an exciting place as well. We need to have a look at our Chinese friends here. We know that, let me just have a look at this one. This is a bit of a tricky one because I've got the B wave up here, but if we go to the other one here, which is in the same vein here, you know, these are all much bigger. You know, Amblemere here is what, 20 billion. This is, you know, 150 billion here. So this A and B and C here, I've just been trying to figure this out here, how to figure this out, you know, to get the low here. It's not that good. I said I would try to figure it out by looking, even though the B wave is good on this one, and this B wave's up here, maybe this one's got a better 5 wave move here on this one, you know. So maybe we have got a low down here, but I'm not seeing any. I think I did count 5 waves down here, so I'm not seeing any impulse waves here just yet. So that would sort of also bring us over to the US ones over here. Let's just have a look at ALB here for a moment. There's been no sort of movement on that. I'll just go to the weekly on these. We'll just get a bit of, I'll just do a bit of a take from the outside weekly here. I mean, you can see we've had this nice trend up here, can't you? And, you know, it's nice and strong, and then here it gets all sort of slow and choppy, you know what I mean? So it's run out of steam, isn't it? It needs to rebalance a little bit and all of those. So we're looking at it as a corrective pattern. The corrective pattern here, this last leg here, this would be something like wave 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and 5 here. And this would be an ABC correction here. I don't think we may be able to look at it as wave 1 here with an ABC and then continue higher at that point. It's possible. But this here looks like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Just, yeah, maybe we could do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2. Maybe we could, maybe it is building. I mean, obviously if it took the tops out, we'd have to be long. But anyway, nothing exciting happening there. And what's the other one here? This Piedmont here. So this is log scale. So, you know, I've always known that this, from this high here, all of this is corrective here. I could always look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and I have been doing that, and I do own some shares in this. Just such a small amount, it's not even worth mentioning really, but and I only bought them because of a really long-term play in all of this, because I know that this is corrective, you know. This is one that's actually rebalanced, you know. It's building a base here. So, and this is the thing, you know, I mean, I just love corrections because that's where the next trend is engineered from, you know. Most people like a trend, but you always get the opposite of what you look at, you know. If you buy into a trend, you're going to be smacked with a correction next, you know. If you get into the correction, and people don't like corrections because that's where they got their fingers burnt, you know. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. But look, it could be wave 1 and 2 here, sitting on the 61.8%, and an A and a B and a C sitting in here. So I'm just watching this, you know. See, of course there's going to be a bounce here as well, off 50, 5 being the second strongest number. There's going to be a bounce off that number, but will that bounce be impulsive or corrective? So we're just going to wait to see if that's there, you know. So yeah, I mean, the other side, the size of this correction here, we could look at it as an A wave here and A, B, C here for this, and then down, you know, coming down here further. So you know, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'll just stay in it because, you know, I know where it'll be at the end of the day. You know, this is I should put a notice here. This is not a bear market, and if it does come down here, it's a bit like Bitcoin. It's just more opportunity, you know. So anyway, that's that. That's my cup of tea on that. And yeah, we go back to the energy sector. So crude oil. So with crude oil here, as you may know, we have been viewing this here as a corrective pattern through here as an A, B, C, D and E over here. And if it is a triangle pattern here, which looks all pretty good, then wave 5 won't be that long here, you know. Maybe it could all just be, I've got the wave 5 already in place down here, as you know. Let's just, could it be? I don't think it is, because see, normally when you get a triangle pattern, you can just normally take the distance here, right, and then just add that distance to the last peak over here, and we're already past that. So as a triangle pattern, it's done its job in a way. So the other thing that we just, you know, so it's a little bit unlikely that this is going to be down for 1 here and ABC back for 2 to the 61.8% mark, and then come down here for 3, 4 and 5. Now it's not out of the question, right? So it means that, well, shit, we better be careful. We better know what we're doing, you know. Bit of housework. We know that the government was, you know, wanted to restock around these prices. I don't even know they're all the prices, but or something like that. So just take that with a pinch of salt. So this little box here is the 61.8%, so coming in around the 7.5 here, and that's the most important number here, you know, well, between 7,000 and 8,000 anyway. It's not like I can't prove that we're going to go higher, because we've only got 3 waves. We counted 5 waves up here. That's cool. We can look at that, you know, realistically, we can look at it and should consider it being an A wave here and a B wave here and a C wave here, finishing here and then coming down at that point, you know. However, we take all that, we understand all of that, we check, that's all good, whatever. And so now we're counting up here. So I'm counting it up as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. And then we're counting it up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this green wave 1 and green wave 2. Now, look, like I said, it could be the C wave here and come tumbling down at that point. All we need to do is just, once again, just be patient and just chill. So I did a quick count on this as 1 and 2 in here, and 1 and 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth, and the fifth wave coming into here. And so basically we'll get something like this here, right? Then we'll get this top here. That will finish off in here. I'm not going to worry about all this too much, but it's pretty, I think I'm pretty well on the money here. And then we're going to get some sort of ABC pattern here. Now, I could be doing this too big and dramatizing it, but coming back to the 50-60% in here somewhere. And then we need to see if it's going to take the top of the B wave out, because that will be our, that will tell us, if it takes the B wave out, that will tell us that we're bullish at that point. And that will be very exciting, because this is 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here. And then if we get this right here, this will be 1 and another wave 2 coming into here. You know, like a building process. We'll be going into the third of the third over here. So that will be, this is where it will really move off here, nice and quickly, you know. So we're either going to get a fantastic long trade, or it's going to simply, as the first 5 waves come down here, we can't do much with that. We'll get the B wave here, then we'll get this move down. So this could be down for 1, back for 2, down for 1, we go back for 2 here, and then we go down again. So it's really that B wave here. But anyway, we can refine the situation over here as well for these sorts of things. But that's the battle plan, and we'll just allow all the players to move into place, and then we will do the right thing at the right time, and shouldn't be a problem at that point. So I could put this here as a wave 1 and put this one over here too, which is probably a little bit better, but I'll give that some thought later. Doesn't really matter. But that's where we are for that, for the crude. And then for natural gas, last time we spoke, we were in here somewhere, and hasn't quite taken out the low here. It could still be a B wave. I mean, we still got a nice 5-wave structure. Well, it's nice up until this point here, but it's a reasonable 5 waves up here. So that means that this could still be a B wave here, and a B wave too can take out the low down here, you know. So there's something else we need to be mindful of. But that said, if it was going to be a B wave here, it would have to be 3 waves down. So an A wave here, a B wave here, and then we need to count 5 waves down to this point. When it gets down to this point, it could go up at that point. So we'll need to be mindful of that. So in this move up here, it's either going to be a wave 4, which is going to be nice and complicated. Expect the worst, hope for the best, or we might see a nice clean impulse wave here, and if we see 5 waves here when it pulls back, then we can get on the bus and go at that point. So from wave B here down to here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then we've got this little wave 1 in here we were counting last time, and then wave 2. So I can pretty much leave wave 3 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I probably need to double check that, 4 and 5. Doesn't really matter at this point. So we should land you know, quite close to this 100 here, but obviously we'll be, normally when number 2, we're in group 1 here, when number 2 becomes the retested resistance, normally you get pulled down to this number, so that would be highly likely. But we've got this situation here as well, so it may not do that, and yeah, so we could end up having 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 down here, or we can have an ABC pattern down here. I don't know, but we don't need to do anything yet. But the other interesting thing too is that if that is going to be, if this is going to give us 5 waves down here, then all we need to do is bring wave 5 over here and then put wave 4 over here, and that would be the low in place. And then we can start looking, and if crude is going to go up, well, then we can go with that, you know. So really there's opportunity again down here. I mean, I was hoping I was going to get it from here. We had 5 waves here. We're looking for an ABC here. We thought this was it, you know. Is it impulsive up here? Can we go long above here? No, it's dropped down. So then, you know, we had to kind of work the trend down lower at this point. So it's been a little bit of a nightmare. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've seen analysts on YouTube talk about the oil market, and they were talking $2.50, and I don't know if they talked about $2, but they were down here somewhere, you know. But you know, anyway, we need to see if there's a turn down here, and we'll just continue to follow the pattern to the downside. It's all we can do, and we'll see how it plays out at this point. So I'll need to do some work on, look at back. We'll have to look, if we get 5 waves here, we'll go back and look at the trend and so on, and put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I mean, as wave 2 up there, as a wave 4 here, that's respectable, isn't it? This one's not respectable. I'm not respectable for putting it there. Anyway, it's hard to be perfect. There we go. So all we can do is continue to track this down. We'll see if we get 3, 4, 5, or we just get C here, and then we start to move up from that point. It'll be interesting to see anyway. I won't know, and we'll just need patience to get to the point where we know what's going on. Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.